Hello guys, TM here. Today I'm going to be reviewing Risk of Rain 2, which is a third-person roguelike action shooter game. Risk of Rain 2, in my opinion, is the best roguelike game I have ever played since Binding of Isaac. Now before I get into the review, I want to clarify that I will not be talking about the endgame content in order to avoid spoilers. Now that we got that out the way, let's get into the review. The story of Risk of Rain 2 is quite lacking to me, as the intro cutscene did not really do a good job of informing me about the purpose of what I am meant to do. What I somewhat know is that we, the survivor, are stranded on a planet where we fight through many different enemies and environments until we clash against the final boss. I was hoping for there to be some dialogue or information during the game to give me a greater purpose to reach the end, however there were none. In order to progress in Risk of Rain 2, the player must choose a survivor that fits their playstyle. These characters are unlocked by doing challenges that you will be able to do as you play through the game. These characters felt, played and looked amazing and unique, as some characters are close range fighters while others prefer to fight in a distance. If unlocked, the player is also able to change the loadouts on their characters that completely change their initial playstyle. The new loadouts are not necessarily better than the original, as they both are important in different scenarios. Once the player exits the pod, they must find a teleporter that is spawned in a random part of the map. I found this quite enjoyable, as it encouraged me to explore the entire map and not make the stage feel very predictable. However, there were moments where I did feel lost in the map, as the teleporter either blended with this environment or was in questionable locations, which made me waste time running in circles. Risk of Rain 2 makes a very interesting choice when it comes to difficulty, as the more time you take on a stage, the higher the difficulty will go to. I absolutely love this decision, as the game encourages the player to not waste time on pointless tasks and makes the player more time efficient. In the later stages, the player arrives at a planet called Sky Meadow, where they are given two options when arriving at the teleporter. The first option is to teleport to the final stage and complete the game, while the second option is to choose to go back to the starting stage, where they are able to carry their traits, equipments and difficulty with them. This is similar to a New Game Plus, where the character is able to have repeated playthroughs on the same run. I love the fact that we are given the option to a New Game Plus, as I sometimes want to carry on playing and see how crazy my character becomes with all their traits and equipment. Luckily, Risk of Rain 2 gives me that option to find out. Seeing the visuals of Risk of Rain 2 made me fall in love with them instantly, as I am a big fan of cel-shaded games, for example the Borderlands series. I also really like the fact that once the player picks up a trait, it's actually visible on the survivor's body. This makes the gameplay in the endgame very funny and enjoyable to see, as your entire character is covered in traits from head to toe. After going through the gameplay of Risk of Rain 2, I instantly got hooked and could not stop playing, as the combat felt very smooth, fast and responsive. This is especially with the endless number of traits and equipments that the players are able to acquire. A few, for example, are doing bleed damage, firing razor blades, shooting missiles, double jumping, as well as creating a black hole. Now the traits and equipments are also able to synchronize with each other, as well as the different survivors. This can make every character and trait feel viable, as although they may be bad with one survivor, on the other survivors they can be a potential god item. In order to get these traits and equipments, the player must earn cash. This is done by defeating never-ending hordes of monsters. Once you have enough cash, you are able to open multiple different kind of chests that give you a guaranteed equipment or item. The player is also able to buy turrets, as well as multiple unique drones such as healing gunner or missile drones that assist you in battle and will teleport with you on the next stage. This is very helpful on solo plays when you need a bit of assistance in order to heal or distract the enemy. If the player has some remaining cash before teleporting, then that cash will be converted into experience points. Once leveled up, the character's base stats will then be increased. This is helpful in some scenarios, as rather than running around the map trying to find chests and wasting time, the player can run straight into the teleporter and make use out of that cash, as well as going into the next stage on easier difficulty. If the player gets bored of the game or wants to try something new, they are able to try the artifacts that completely change how the game plays. These can be, for example, enemies spawning with traits, spawning only elite enemies, being able to choose any traits of that tier, as well as many more. I have been playing this game for more than 30 hours and I have not seen a single bug or major FPS during my game. This is even on stage 20, where the screen is covered with attacks and enemies. However, I still did not drop any FPS. Although very few, there were moments where starting up the game resulted in the game crashing. However, a simple restart and the game would come back on. Just to clarify, I've had no crashes during the game and only when starting up the game on PC. Risk of Rain 2 is an amazing game that will be regarded as one of my favorite roguelike games of all time, as well as one of my best games of 2020. Hopefully it will be considered a classic in the future and will inspire many new roguelikes in its footsteps. I will be giving Risk of Rain 2 a 9 out of 10. I hope you liked my first review and be sure to expect more coming. I'll see you guys in the next video. TM out.